I guess my first job, I babysat a lot whenever I was younger. Yeah, I mean, so really first job responsibility.
Which kind of
People
funny,
trusted me with their kids, which is scary.
So.
So.
Back then, like, did you know CPR? Did you
No.
know?
No.
Like, we didn't either. No one knew anything.
No.
And how old were the kids that they would put you responsible?
One was 4 and one was a year old. Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? Nowadays, you would never hire a babysitter without having any kind of credentials or something.
And I was 14, at the time, with 2 little ones. So.
Did it prepare you to be a mom? Do you think?
Maybe not. I don't know. It really prepared me to be a mommy, but I don't think anybody's really prepared to be a mom. And because I'd watch the kids during the day and then send them home, so there was no preparation overnight. And
so it was all day.
It was all
That's
day.
a big responsibility. Did you have like a schedule for them? And
it was somewhat of a schedule. Yeah, the 1 year was challenging.
that is
The older one
that
didn't
is
so much, but yeah.
huge responsibility.
Yeah.
I thought it was like babysitting for 2 hours while parents go to dinner.
No.
Oh,
it was,
wow.
Yeah, my first husband.
You were a
was-
nanny, really?
Yeah, really. Yeah, that's more of a nanny.
It wasn't
probably my
babysitting.
first
That's
job.
a nanny job.
Yeah, I did that for a couple of years, but my first real job where I, W-2 employee, I worked at a dry cleaner, and I did that for several years, and then no, it never blew up. But
Did they have integrated payments?
They integrated? No, it was just a terminal. That's
Tap and
right.
pay?
No tap and pay at the time. I do have a funny story about the tap and pay with the dry cleaners, but a couple of years after that, they gave me my own substation and ran that. So I think that helped me just from the entrepreneurship side and managing.
I have a question about
Yeah.
dry cleaners. You know that Sahara's family owned a dry cleaner, and do people forget their clothes?
All the time.
And forever, right? And
Yeah.
what did you guys get to like take it?
You have to call.
No, but if they never responded, it's a cute outfit. I'm just curious.
There was always like a
I'm
lost
asking
and
for a
found,
friend.
as we called it. Lost and found was always kind of off to the side. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they donated it or what they did after.
A lot of clothes.
A lot of the stuff that never got picked up, and I think it's because the price points was like bedding. People would, curtains, bedding, things that aren't necessities in life, like clothes as much.
I know that I forgot stuff.
Yeah.
And never
The
picked it up and
comforters
forgot. And then
yeah.
like a year later, I go, oh, I'd be looking for it.
Wedding dresses even. I mean, it's amazing what people just forget, or maybe they don't want it anymore.
No, I think they forget. The fact that they take it there is that they want it. I think they
Even
forget.
they see the price point of what some of that costs.
But don't
though,
you know up
expensive.
front though?
They should know up front.
When you're dropping something off, they tell you what it's going to cost.
Yeah.
I think they forget. I can't.
Yeah, most likely. So in 2004, technology, funny story. Do you remember the Vivo Pay readers?
Yes.
The contactless, because it
What
wasn't
happened to
integrated into the big terminals.
Yeah.
And so that was my first big install, was at a dry cleaners, crawling around on the floor and connecting the Vivo readers with I think it was a T77, going into all those devices back in the day.
Yes.
But anyway, yeah, I set up one of the first Capital One portfolio merchants with contactless payments in 2000. Way before any of the cards circulated with capabilities, really even the wearables
So
weren't
part
out
of
yet.
your job was installation.
Well, back in those days, like we were talking earlier, you did everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
You
remember.
did everything.
One alpha, remember?
One alpha 66831.
I
Yeah.
remember-
Programming Sun Juniors.
I remember when First Data bought. Maybe it was Nabango bought. Nabango bought my Brown Forman.
Yeah.
And I had to go to all the restaurants and download the terminals to a different code and stuff and walk it through. And I remember that I was pregnant with this one. And I remember going to Santa Monica, Third Street Promenade. We had a ton of restaurants there. And going in there, and reprogramming all. They were paying us to just go and reprogram every terminal. And I was pregnant and huge. I got really big with medicine, made me so fat. Anyway, I remember 3 months later, my husband belonged to Jonathan Club. I had lost all the weight, and me and my girlfriend took the kids, and I went to one of the restaurants, and I showed up, and I go, hi, and I was telling the owner, Giorgio or something, did you remember me? I go, I was here. I go, I programmed your terminal, and he's like, oh my God, really? And I go, Oh yeah, I see it.
Oh my god.
But yeah, I remember having to reprogram every single
Yeah.
terminal because back in the day you couldn't do it remotely.
Yeah, I started in this crazy industry in customer service, and you took the call, you went to the filing cabinet, you pulled the file, you tried to read the notes really quick, you figured out the hardware. Okay, terminal's down, diagnostic doesn't work. I'm going to go get another terminal, reprogram it, and ship it to you. So I went and pulled another device off the shelf, and then I was responsible for programming that
Programming it
device
before
and
you
getting it out the door. Like you did everything.
And you needed to overnight it because they needed.
Right. But you did, yeah. I mean, there wasn't a deployment department or, you know, a system that you could log into and pull files and details. You had to put them through files.
And
then
at
get the
that
details.
time, interchange was up like one page.
Yes.
It was
much
like,
more simplistic.
yeah. I mean, it was so simple.
I mean, tiered pricing was like the new thing on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember the guy Luis, the guy from my first boss. He got a hotel and he put us there for training. And I remember interchange was just like 3 or 4 things.
Yeah. Like one page for MasterCard, one page for Visa.
You know, it was.
And we didn't care about it.
I think it was-
that was different.
No,
That was separate.
That was, yeah.
Oh,
that was
Alex,
dial.
separate.
yeah, and
It
then
was
they had
totally
this. You
different.
always wanted to offer them the split dial so you could save the money. When I first went out cold calling and they told us about the split dial, I thought that it meant it didn't charge them anything. So I went and I sold it. It was the Great Greek here in Ventura. And I that was one guy who sat me down. I go, do you get a lot of American Express? He goes, oh yeah, because it was a popular place. I go, well, you know, if you get our terminal, you don't pay anything with American Express because I just got 1 day training.
Oh my gosh.
And then so he goes, really? Are you sure about this? So he goes, okay, well, I go, I'm new, so I'm going to bring my boss. So I brought my boss the next day, and my boss is like, no, we do split dial. He explained it to him, and the guy goes, I thought so, but it's okay. And I ended up signing
Yeah.
it. It was a really big
That's
account for
awesome.
me. It was like my first sell.
You sold
But-
double pricing before there was
Yeah,
dual
before-
Right?
Right?
Literally. No,
But I
literally.
remember the
That's how
training.
we've come.
Interchange was just too, like, he was explaining it, and it was so easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then later on, it's thousands. And
Then trying
so-
to figure out downgrades, why Merchant was downgrading, looking at all those manual reports.
Fallback and EMV and yeah.
Oh, remember when EMV
POS
launched?
entry code 90 versus 01, you know, key entry versus swipe. It's like, oh my god.
Something I heard the other day that I hadn't heard, but the POTS lines. Do you remember the little POTS phone numbers? The terminals were programs with the POTS. They didn't call regular numbers, right? They
Yeah.
were POTS lines. Do you remember that?
No,
That was a long, long time
I'm
ago.
I'm dating
not
myself
had that
now.
in
Yeah,
a
it came up the other day and I was
really
like,
long
haven't
time.
heard that in forever.
We're old.
We all
Well, you know what? Okay, so I think each of us should talk about like what the things that we've seen change in the industry. I mean, I do remember even paying with my first American Express and the restaurant doing it on a knuckle buster, which would be like, yay! And then I would come in and
come
sell
out.
them right as a sale. And I remember when I first was going through my divorce and I was separated, my husband would have my daughter every other weekend. So the weekend that I was free, I would go out with my girlfriends, who a lot of them were single, or some of them were ex-girlfriends of friends of his, and we would always go to. That's how I got Bar Maman. So they would. One of them was an actress, and she was a stewardess, but she was an actress too. And so they would always take me, and I was like, I hadn't been out in a bar, and I never took off my wedding ring still, but they wanted to get me out of the house, and they would get mad at me because I spend the whole time. So what do you do? So how much volume do you do? And I signed the gate on La Cienega. I met the owner. I came during the day, and he became one of my best friends. He introduced me to people in Paris when I went to Paris. But she would take me to all these nightclubs that they were like the best ones because we'd get in right away because she was really pretty. And I'd spend the whole time selling credit card
yeah,
processing.
selling,
They had
yeah.
Squirrel. I remember Gabe had Squirrel,
Oh,
and
yeah.
that's all. And she used to say. And then one day we went to this bar. This is Santa Monica, Chaya, and she was like, "I'll take this. How much volume do you think you do? Who is your processor?" She was so annoying. She was pitching it, but I used it to close business. I was like, I loved it.
Always selling nail.
Yes.
So, general question for the group here: who was your most impressionable manager and why?
For me, I had a manager. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I think it was when I was selling copiers. And he was a manager that just treated me with so much respect, and he valued me because I was like the top salesperson. And he told me, look, I know this is hard, but if you can cold call 30 businesses a day, you're going to be really successful. So I would come back with 30 business cards, and that's why I would try to go to the biggest buildings and stuff. But he really pushed me to be successful, but he always really supported me. He had my back. And I don't know, I think that he would close business for me too. He would help me close business. I think I like that he respected me. He was like a team player. Yeah, I think that for me, he was someone that I didn't see him, even though he was my manager. He wanted me to be successful, and he took time to try to help me. He would, and he said, because when you're successful, he goes, I'm nothing, you make me look good. Because of you, I won an award. And I remember telling that to people at Comerica. When I win an award, I go, this is not even me, this is them. And I think it's being humble.
Yeah.
If you're a manager and you don't have ego and you're humble and you really care about your people, those are the people. So I loved him so much that I knew I would look at the numbers and I would know when he wasn't going to make his quota, and I would go give away some of my commission for him to make his quota. And he found out one time I did that, and he was pissed. And he said, don't ever do that. But that's how loyal I was to him, because I wanted him to make his numbers.
Subscribe and follow Girls Just Want to Have Funds for the rest of this story and others like